Hello everyone, and welcome back to King Note Gaming. It is day 10 of Berkshire. I did a few things off camera because it's just the annoying moving everybody in grind. Today, I'm going to be moving the last house into place. You can see that little square on the map there. And I officially have all of my final residents. So let's show that off really quick. I've got Kyle, Wolfgang, Whitney, Vivian, Maddie, Cherry, B, Shep, Mac, and Bones. That's my final villager lineup. The whole idea with this island, other than making it just easier for me, is go back to the map really quick. You can see here we have 6 villager houses. Those are the dog villagers, and that's going to be like the little town area. And then I have my 4 wolf villagers up here in the forest. So, yeah. I'm going to make like a woodsy area at the back of the island, and then the front of the island is going to be like town core. Now, without further ado, I'm going to move our final villager, B, into her final place. Kix is also here, but I'm not super interested in that at the moment. So her house is gonna go up over here. Oh, and she's over here anyway, so I think she knows that she's moving over here. There we go, that's the spot. Hooray! Okay, next order of business. I'm going to, number 1, start working on the custom designs I want for the island. I think I'm going to make as many as I can tonight. And then I'm also going to start doing Happy Home Paradise because I want to edit the villager houses. And generally speaking, I find that like if I do 5 a day, that's a good amount and it doesn't become too much. Because I do like HHP, but speedrunning it's a completely different animal. Definitely going to have to change Cherry's house, but, you know. That's the good thing with HHP. It doesn't matter what their base houses are anymore. I'm excited to make the little canal area, too. That'll be a lot of fun. I don't need to get shells anymore. I was collecting them because, obviously, sometimes villagers ask for shell DIYs, and I believe Cherry asked for a shell partition, which was, it wasn't that bad because I'd been collecting shells, but if you suddenly need, like, a ton of shells, it's kind of annoying. Anyway, I'm gonna kind of reevaluate what builds I want where, because I do have ideas, and I want to make... Probably up in the wolf area, I want to make a paw print shaped pond, because that would be cute. Wait, did I mess up? Oh no, it's not in line. I have to move houses again. Okay, well, we're gonna have to move Maddie's house again. I messed up the spacing. Okay, I'm gonna mark that, because that really bothers me. Okay, it's 2 from here. So actually, the square... Yeah, the square should start there. Oh, that's so annoying. I don't know how I did that. Like, I'm pretty sure... Yeah. So it's gonna be directly next to that is where the end of the house is. Well, we gotta do a little bit more time traveling before we can do anything else, I guess. Oh well. But I'll move her house to the beach. Because I think there's enough room for a house. Just right, yeah, there's enough room for a house right there. So I'll move her house to the beach after this. Let's just time travel to the next day. Hello, voiceover note here. I didn't talk for the rest of the day. So, first of all, I moved Maddie's house to the beach. Then I time traveled to the next day. and made sure that it was in the right place, but also Maddie was home, so I wanted to say hello. And she gave me a DIY, which was pretty nice, so that's always good. She's really cute too. I love Maddie a lot. And she gave me a Shell Music Box, which is a very good DIY. Very good indeed, so thank you very much, Maddie. Also, her house, like her standard house, is really cute too. It's like a little picnic. That's really cute. It's not going to stay that way though, of course. And then after that, I moved her house once again to the actual correct spot. So, there we go. And then I redeemed a bunch of Nook Miles for things like the Be a Chef DIY set, as well as the other things that I needed. Mostly custom design related ones, and of course, the other terraforming tools that I didn't get yet. So I made sure to get everything that I could from the Nook Stop with all the Nook Miles I had been getting, which I got quite a few of them just by doing random nonsense, which is what I usually do. And now it is time for the first real laying down of the path. I'm going to use a brick path as the underlayment for all of the roads that I'm going to be putting in, and a little bit later in this video I'm going to be making paths, which is always exciting to explain my process. And I cut out a bunch of myself saying earlier in this video that I'm done moving buildings, everything is in the right spot, which was not the case. As you can tell by how the roads are laid out here, later on I'm going to have to move the shop and the tailors, which so annoying. This is why you plan things out before you put things down, which I usually do, but this time I was just like, oh, I think that's right where I want to put it, and I didn't think about this. But you know, it is what it is, and it was a lot of just connecting the roads where I want them to go, and laying down the basic foundation for the dog area of the island. I do a little tiny bit moving into the wolf section, but the road doesn't go past the river, even up the incline. And I was trying to decide if I wanted the sidewalk to go past the incline. It didn't really look nice, so yeah. Laid everything out here. There wasn't much I could do with that little corner, so I kind of had to make the thing a little bit uneven. And I decided to just put all of the path down in front of the museum for now. Spoilers, it doesn't stay like that. But that's for another day. Don't worry about it for now. For right now, it's just a lot of connecting the bridges together, connecting all the roads together, the inclines, everything. And it's laying down the foundation for what the neighborhood is going to end up looking like, which it turns out so great, okay? Obviously, I'm recording this long after the fact, and it turns out very well. I also have to get these coconuts to get rid of this stupid rock. And I will have a rock garden. Trust me, I will have a rock garden. It will happen on this island. Just not for a while. We're really starting to get into the nitty-gritty of building things at the moment, so yeah. It took a minute. I then went to the next day and moved the shop. Like I mentioned, it was in the wrong spot. I'm going to have to move again to move the tailors as well. But for now, I'm adding in more of the same brick path so I can have the road later. And now, it is path making time! The first thing I started out with was the sidewalk, which I wanted to make just like a normal concrete sidewalk, but kind of a tan color. And I want to make the road brown to look nice with all of the yellow that's everywhere on the island. So it's a lot of going back and forth and changing the colors and adding in things as usual. And then this was kind of cool. I used this technique on Java as well. I actually used it here first, but I used it on Java as well. But I make the standard tile here as just like plain road, but I also change the colors for it later because the road path also looks like dirt, right? It has the same kind of texture, so I just lighten up the colors. Once I'm finished making all the road variations, I made crosswalks, I made the divisions lengthwise and horizontal-wise, as I usually do. Road paths are my favorite to make just because they're so easy. Like, once you get that middle texture done that tiles really well, it works. And then here I'm making the 9-tile dirt path. I mean, technically it's 12-tile because I do add skinny paths. But this is actually the first dirt path that I made on my own. Like, my very first 9-tile dirt path. And it gave me the confidence to make more, which is great. And then here I'm laying down each individual part, just making sure they all fit well together. And I'm labeling them accordingly, so everything looks nice and connects together. And of course adding a lot of transparent pixels so you can have the grass see-through beneath it, or sand in this case, because I put it on the beach just to make sure everything lines up. That is my biggest piece of advice for multi-tile paths when you're making them. Put them down, and then you can see them change as you change them, and you can be like, oh, I did 1 pixel too far on that one, or I want a pixel a little bit closer, or I want to add or subtract. And here I'm making the single tile up and down skinny path. I tried to not make it look like what I don't want to say, but you know. And then I added in all the colors to make the middle tile. And then Cherry and Mac were having a conversation. I don't think I ended up finding out what they said, but they looked like they were having a good time. I don't think any bad words were slung, which is always good. And then same thing to make the horizontal skinny paths. And I do put them all down at the end, so I make sure they all look nice. And I think they turned out really well. It worked really well for what I used them for, and there we go. They look all nice. I am happy with that. And now I'm going to start laying down the sidewalk. I did do the rest of this off camera just because it's not really that interesting watching me put down all of these individual tiles, but I guess this is just my way of saying, hey, we're putting down the road. The road is going to look good. I start with like 1 tile at a time and just go at it. I'm usually watching some video or whatever while I'm doing this. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.